think it's quite What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Today is October 29, 2024, and we're back on Millennials Adulting. Aren't you excited? With an adulting topic, I think, tonight.
Interesting one, to say the least.
For sure, for sure. While you guys get reacclimated with our reasons why, we wanted to kind of separate things. I know we've been talking a lot of politics and a lot of geopolitical things, things around the world. I started this channel and invited Marie on this journey because, as the adults in the room, I felt like maybe some game had been left out of the passing down, and maybe we could try to course correct with, just kind of talking about stuff that we're going through as adults, things that we might have to deal with, things that might come up. You've got children. I have children. Some of y'all have children. But then we're not just parents. And then we can't call mommy and daddy anymore for the information on the back of the insurance card because we've got minis calling us for that information. I think you told me your college-aged daughter is very much baby me as a love language when she comes home. And
apparently it's both of my children, let my husband tell it. But I gave her card. Like, here, this is your card. She did set up her own nutritionalist appointment.
Okay.
So, which I'm like, ooh, how was that? What was the copay? But she did do that. So there's that. Like, we're kind of, even though I did get into it with my ex-husband today about me babying our kids, and it was like a whole thing. And he said, I'm making a big deal out of nothing. And like, it is a thing. So yeah. And then I just stopped talking.
He's saying you baby them, or?
So the funny part is some weird thing at school where my daughter didn't have her badge yesterday. Okay. And she had it today, but she didn't have it yesterday. And apparently when they go to study hall, they're asked to see their badges. I think it's kind of silly, but I don't know if it's maybe a form of attendance or whatever. Okay. I feel like they be doing a lot of study hall. Like they be marking absent in study hall. Like that's like a hangout. Like,
not even class, but okay.
But so she ends up getting called down to the office today. And also note, my daughter goes to a predominantly white school. She gets called down to the office today, and she was asked if she had her badge. And she was like, yeah, why? Oh, well, you didn't have it yesterday. And if you don't have it again in the future, you'll be, what is that, after school detention or something? Mean detention? Oh. To me, it just seemed a bit harsh. I could see if she was a repeat offender. And for him, he feels like that I'm trying to overparent, and how dare they talk to my kid like that. But simultaneously for me, there's two things working, right? One thing, my daughter's a Black girl in predominantly white school. We all know that statistically speaking that Black children typically get harsher treatment.
Right.
Then two, she also has ADHD, which means that she could actually misplace some shit, and it's just part of, that kind of, it comes with that. And she's a teenager. And like I said, it was only the first time.
Right.
And so for me, I'm concerned that, so my client in question was this the first time this has happened? Is this a part of their policies? Is this what they normally do? Because I need to make sure that you're being treated fairly and equitably. I don't want it to be, well, they're singling out the Black girl, because she did say he looked surprised when she had it. So were you looking
for her not to have it?
For her,
expecting not to have it almost.
And they call that what is it? Was it compromise bias or confirmation bias?
Confirmation bias.
To confirm something you already think. So you think, she probably doesn't have it or whatever. So you and to me, I'm like, they pulled you out of class to ask you that. And then his perspective is rules are rules. He was just checking. I'm like, I don't think you're seeing it the same way I'm seeing it.
Was it a white teacher you were talking to?
Absolutely. Or no, I was advised I'm not supposed to talk to the teacher per my ex-husband. Do not go.
But she's in high school, right? So we're talking.
Leave that school alone.
Well, yeah, because you can't save her in the classroom. Not really.
Yes and no. I disagree with that because whenever they don't listen to students, right?
Okay.
So if your child is facing some type of discrimination or there's some type of implicit bias, it is your responsibility as a parent to advocate for them. And then by advocating for them, you're also teaching them when to advocate for themselves.
Yes.
So I do
agree with that. But unless it's I would say I'm talking like an outlier situation. Your daughter not having her pass, that does seem a little much. Especially, I mean, were they like, oh shit, you didn't have your pass yesterday, so let's just see if you have your pass
and see if you have it today. Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem a little targeted, you know. People always say that I'm using the race card, but god damn it, a lot of times it is the race card. So,
that's why, it's implicit bias. Like it's something like people do naturally. It's inherent. Like, so it's not even that I'm saying, oh, it's blatant. No, it's just implicit. Like it occurs. I mean, so I'd say this. One year it was her African American teacher, and she was marking all the children down who didn't stand for the flag. She gave, first of all, she created a civic grade, which was not part of the school curriculum.
Oh.
She gave them a civic grade. In the civic grade, if you did not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, you were marked down. Then she even started making the kids stand in the hallway who did not.
Oh.
And mind you, she was African American. So not only did I rip her ass a new one about being a gatekeeper for white supremacy, I went to the school, and not only did they like review all her stuff, and then they discovered she'd been doing this for some time, she actually had to remove the civic grade. Yeah. All her students who were, I guess, boycotting the pledge, their grades went up a whole grade point. Like they went from a C to a B. But they wouldn't have known had I not have spoken up or had I not have said something. Like I don't play. Like, and again, I'm not trying to. I guess I'm not over parenting. I'm advocating for my kids because they're not always in a position to advocate for themselves.
And no, they're not in any position. Not in school. And like, you're definitely. I think, but also I'm a mom too, so we might have to have some dads. If y'all are in the chat, let us know. But I would say that you didn't overstep any boundaries just based off of what we already know to be true. Also, I find that when you start saying words like implicit bias to these people, they switch everything. Like it completely changes their conversation because they're not, oh no, it's not me, oh no, it's I do this for every time we want to make sure, they start having reasons and stuttering and stammering and just being comfortable calling them out on their shit makes them not fuck with your child.
Yeah,
you're that parent that's going to make it not pleasant for their year. There are some teachers who work for the off time over the summer. That's not me. I don't think we get paid enough to do these types of things, these shenanigans, having off time over the summer. But no, some people really do. They work for the check and they work to have the time off, and they have their own children that they give a damn about. So your child is not anybody more than a number. So yeah, I would say that you would need to show her that it's okay to speak up when shit doesn't make sense. But also, look, you got to have your past. If this was the first time.
Yes, I did chime in there. Look, after going back and forth with him. Well, how much is the pass? Just in case in the event that you don't have one, make sure you have it in the future. Right. And then let me know if they can't contact you again the whole time over here. Them arguing, like a side note, going back and forth with him in a separate message, like, well, what? God, that's it. But the thing is too, is that some people don't. There are people that walk through the world and they just accept things. Okay, there's racist white people. Oh, it's just this. Oh, that just is what it's. Oh, and maybe too, maybe me being, me having a white mother makes me feel like I have a little more privilege where I can speak up and say something, or I don't know what the difference is, because there's been multiple incidents where it's like, well, that's just how things are. Fuck that. Like, that's why they are just like that, because you've accepted them. You've allowed them to continue to be that way. And I'm not going to do that. Absolutely. And then I think about, imagine if, not that necessary segregation or integration was necessarily a good thing, but imagine if you just continue to walk through the world like, well, that's just how they, they have slaves. Oh, they just have black slaves. That's just how they are. Like, everything can't just be, that's just how shit is done. So who's going to be the fucking changers of the world? Who's going to be the people that are going to advocate or do something different? Who's going to cook something different on Thanksgiving or do this? You know what I mean? But it's just how it's been done. So that you do know that you can do something different. You don't have to accept that. You know that, right? Like, I don't.
You just brought up a point for something that I saw earlier in the week. And it's about, allowing people to do whatever, as long as everybody agrees to it, who gives a damn, right? And here we go. Maybe I find it. I think that maybe sometimes when we don't step in, that is and does allow the fuckery. And just like you said, well, not like you said, like I was thinking while you were talking, what if other students told their parents about this civic grade and their parent was just like, oh, it's just what the teacher's doing.
Civic grade. Whole time she made up the shit. And
right. Made the shit up and it's not even
it's laying your whole grade down. Because even too, is it my civic responsibility too to also to utilize, because I think people always act like not standing for the flag or something like that. So when actually, if you guys claim it's a free country, claim it's like liberty, pursuit of this, blah, 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 all this freedom shit. So it's really I'm allowed to say I'm going to sit this one out.
I think that is definitely the conversation that we've been seeing online, conversations that I've been involved in myself. I can't find her saying what. Oh, there we go. I found it. Before I say that though, or before I share that, the conversation is definitely stemming around if your ancestors died for us to vote, or if my ancestors, your ancestors died to be able to be autonomous. That means make a decision on their own. Somebody's not telling them they have to do this.
Absolutely. I believe that they were murdered because they wanted to be autonomous.
There we go. And then from there, it's just
over their lives. That's why they were murdered.
Absolutely. Murdered. And didn't matter if you had your pants
set. I have people like they just died. Well, how they died? Like cancer got them or something. No, they was hung by a white man. They was lynched. The white man killed them.
Publicly, brutalized. It's a lot of trauma there. But, well, I guess this is traumatic for some people too. I hope you guys don't feel any kind of way about what I'm about to show. It's not super crazy, but it does speak to what you were talking about. Did I put it up on the screen? There it is. Let's see.
State leading like
I think it should be state by state
of sexual abuse. Okay, why?
That's fine. I think if everyone in a state wants something, go ahead and have it.
So if everyone in Alabama wanted slavery back, you'd be okay with that?
Sure. If everyone in the state wants it, go ahead. What do I give?
All right. Well, let's go next topic. I'm getting nervous.
I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
You understand that was the same argument that the Confederacy upheld, right? So do you wish that the Confederacy won the war because, according to your worldview, the Union impeded upon the state's ability to legislate?
No, but it's an irrelevant argument.
No, so you're glad that the Union won?
Like, I'm not some psychopath. Like, I live in LA. I'm not some crazy right-wing person.
So now you're saying it's psychotic.
But if everyone in the state wants something, sure, let them have it.
You agree with the Confederates?
No.
But the Articles of the Confederation.
All right,
Okay, so not that that's any of our point of today's conversation, but you did make me think about that, because it's a lot of people out there who are saying that they want people to be autonomous. I'm a person who thinks that the government has too much control over our actual lives and not enough control over the shit that they're supposed to be in control of. I think you're agreeing there, just on a broad spectrum. What's going on in the chat? TJ Blackman, thank you. You know, if more people said this with their chest, that they didn't just die to vote for random races, you know, then maybe that lie that they've been telling over and over again. I mean, since I was in school, your ancestors died for the right to vote. You heard that, right? And it wasn't just from one person, right? Or is this?
No, I've seen lots of things like that. I mean, I've seen things implying that, you know, even
I don't mean now. I mean, like growing up, the civil rights era, all of this spilling blood on bridges in Selma, all of this is because we want the right to vote. And to me, that's always seemed like a crock of shit. Because if you can die on the way to church, on the way to school, on your own property, just because they thought so. I just saw, hold up. Sorry. I just saw something today. Miss G shared it on Twitter. If you're not following her, check her out. I think that's Miss Giselle. It was oh, there it is. No, not there it is. There she is. And she posted about this man. Here we go. His name is Trumaine White. October 4th, he was in Liberty, Mississippi. Essentially, he dropped a paper towel on the grass. Cops got called. He goes to jail. His mom sees him in jail all beaten and tied up and stuff. And he's like, look, they about to murder me. And now he's dead. Trumaine White. I hadn't heard about this. This is almost a month old. And I don't know if y'all have heard about it. And I'm not here to do the hashtag somebody's last name. It's too many hashtags. It's too many people. But shit, I think the government's got problems. They got shit that they need to worry about that has nothing to do with our personal lives, right? But maybe the grand scheme of things, they could worry about some of that stuff. Oh, I know you like John Kennedy. Isn't he one of your favorites?
He has his moments.
I got something for you. And I know some of y'all probably clicked on this because you saw Law Roach in the thumbnail. And
He ain't black, ain't white.
we're gonna get there in a minute. But look,
He ain't black if you don't.
this. It's okay, it's a commercial, so it's okay that you're not seeing it.
Don't
Here it is.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I confess I'm a little confused, and I appreciate the argument or discussion that we've been having, but for me, it's a little too conceptual, or I don't know, metaphysical or theological or whatever you want to call it. I want to try to understand what you're asking us to do. Let's take two books that have been much discussed. The first one is called All Boys Aren't Blue. And I will quote from it. I put some lube on and got him on his knees. And I began to slide into him from behind. I pulled out of him and kissed him while he masturbated. He asked me to turn over while he slipped a condom on himself. This was my ass, and I was struggling to imagine someone inside. He got on top and slowly inserted himself into me. It was the worst pain I think I have ever felt in my life.
Okay, Marie, it's not my fault. I too
really wasn't ready for that.
I wasn't ready for that either. Thank you.
How did we get here?
To my mod that I'm about to fire again for the content tonight. Look, when I got this video to play for us for our conversation tonight. Yeah, TJ, I wasn't ready either sometimes. Well, when you trust your source, it's like there's a reason it comes full circle. I promise. The conversation that we're going to have tonight about self-care and selfishness, I find that a lot of the adults in the room put themselves first, right? And then in school, which is, I guess, kind of where we were talking about before we even got into our conversation. We haven't quite started that. We're starting right this second. Is, implicit bias, essentially, is selfishness. The way that people want to show who they love publicly. At school, I have a picture of my family up, like on my desk, right? I mean, I'm a teacher. Family's pictures are up. I've been in work environments where people were uncomfortable at first, hid their spouse or partner, and then not. It's like a light switch turned off or on. And then, now the gay teacher has his husband on the desk, or the lesbian teacher has her wife and children on their desks or in their, it's just, when or where is the line? Is there a line? And, self-care or selfishness. When we put ourselves first, is it selfish, or are we taking care of ourselves? The book that man was reading is a children's book. All Boys Aren't Blue. I don't even want to look at the imagery. What can you imagine what the pictures look like in this children's book, Marie? Because I haven't Googled it yet, but I can imagine that it's just benign. It's not going to have like pictures of blue.
It doesn't read like a children's book. To me, I'm getting erotica. I'm getting maybe perhaps young adult erotica, but even to erotica, whether it was heterosexual or homosexual, doesn't belong in a school. There were books, I think we read Coldest Winter Ever, Fly Girl. Those weren't books we purchased we rented from the school library. Those were books we purchased outside of there. To me, no one that's heterosexual is going to read a book. A young man that's heterosexual is not going to pick up that book. Now, a gay young man may, and that's his business, but I don't think that should be in a school, but I also don't think it should be banned. I think it's someone's.
Okay.
You said what?
I know. I'm saying, okay. I don't know if I was agreeing as much as I was hearing that point. You don't think it should be banned. I don't think books should be banned. I think that's insane. But should it be at the school library?
Hell no. Any sexual, any erotica shouldn't be, as whether it was Jane and John. This is not and then he's slipped the condom. No, we're not slipping condoms on shit up in here. Not in this K through 12 where we won't be. Now, if you want to go purchase that at Barnes and Noble, Amazon, you want to go to the half price bookstore or whatever, feel free, knock yourself out. Kids are going to do that shit. To be honest with you, yes, Zane, that's erotica. Now, I will say this:
at the school's library. Either.
That should never be in a school's library, right? But I will say this: sometimes that's the shit that get people reading. Now, they may not, but just be honest.
I mean, that's a whole conversation. No, we're talking high school. I don't know if it's in grade school, TJ, because
they say
it says young adults. So
yeah, looking up the backstory, it says young adults, but in general, that just wouldn't belong in a school, period. So that, to me, that's where it doesn't need to be banned. It just needs to not be in the damn school. That's where the line is drawn. Right. I think that just in general, for me, it's not even so much that it's gay, it's that it's over sexual. It's this hypersexual culture that I think really is it's constantly thrown in our face. It's very dominant, unfortunately. And again, it's dominant. It's hypersexual. It's not even just, it's just gay. No, it's just sex all of the goddamn time, everywhere. Yes. Oh, you should be free to do it. Oh, Like, go read a fucking book, but not that
Well,
one.
not that one though, right? I mean, well, if
But
you
I mean,
want to,
but if
right?
that's going to get you to read the whole book, maybe
Right.
read that one.
It's
Then maybe you'll read
levels
another
to
one.
this shit.
Um,
It's almost like the conversation of teaching your child about condoms or teaching your child about abstinence, and maybe you probably should do a little bit of both, right? But
I
maybe
think
you
that
wouldn't
you have the
get
full
away,
conversation. I
right?
think you know. You said what?
No, I'm saying like the full conversation. Like maybe we don't hide one or the other because I mean, unless you're trying to have grandbabies at 35, 40, whatever, like some
Honestly,
y'all want to be grandmas. And
historically speaking, that we've seen that a shift in the narrative where people actually were having these conversations. We've seen less. We've seen less young adults having children,
absolutely.
less teenagers. But when we were pushing the whole abstinence narrative, that's when we were seeing, because too, you're not educating a child. They're going behind your back. They're sneaking. I think you almost have to take the veil off. Once you do that, because there's power in education. There's power in knowledge. And so you want your kids to make informed decisions. So whatever it is that they decide to do, they're informed, they're protected, etc. And I think we see, that's why we see so little of teenage pregnancies as we used to. But yeah, that was, you had to screen this shit. Because but banning books is a form of totalitarianism. It's
Sure.
just not.
I mean, this is a Invader 101, you guys.
That in this real democracy, there's no place here for that. We don't, we don't do violence in politics. We don't, there's no place here for that. And in this utopian America that we live in.
No, not unless it serves us, the system. When it's
What do you mean? We serve everyone. We serve everyone. There's equity. There's equality for everyone globally. We care about everyone, every single one. We're really invested in everyone outside of America too, because we care that much. That's how it just bleeds over.
Oh, we're selfless, right? America's
selfless. Just always giving. Just giving so much to others.
Speaking of giving, this isn't super bad, but this is kind of where it starts for me. I don't know why this type of thing would need to be in school unless it's like a school for homeless children.
Okay, so today we're going to a very important skill, because when you go to school, you have to wipe your own bottom. And it's a bit tricky wiping your own bottom, isn't it? Some of you probably are really good at it, but some of you need some practice. And if you don't wipe your own bottom properly, your knickers or your underpants get a bit stinky, don't they? And it's not nice at all. So we're going to have a practice at wiping our own bottoms. So these balloons are pretending to be our bottom. And the hole that the poo comes out of is just down here. So you have to be able to reach your arm round to wipe the poo. There isn't any poo on really.
I would like to say I'm against it, but I know some grown motherfuckers that do not have to wipe their ass.
I knew you was gonna go there.
So as much as I like, maybe this shit should have started then, so people would be in their 30s and 40s
with shit stains. Y'all, as the adults in the room,
but it also comes back to parents.
They make wipes. You don't have to have the Charmin.
I don't even know how well she was going to do, because she just had toilet paper herself. She didn't even have any wet wipes.
No,
she did it all.
She told them where the poo comes out. Look, when I first saw it, I thought that it was benign, and this was years ago. And this is not the only version of this video, but they are all, I will say, maybe European. She sounded like she had an English or UK or that type of accent, maybe Australia. Who knows? I didn't source the location, but I did see it a few years ago. And that video is from 2021. And I want to say I saw something like this even earlier. And I didn't think anything of it until now, when everything is, body parts can't be called body parts anymore. Everybody's got a pet name for something, your wee wee or your kitty cat. everybody's got names, and then it's a joke, or we don't have there's no privacy conversation with the children anymore because, well, you got to be able to talk about it, because if you can't talk about it, then, well, do you love yourself? And if you love yourself, then you would love all pieces of yourself. And I mean, they don't know all the pieces yet. They're still learning. So you have a girl who maybe she's top heavy real early, and she doesn't like that. Maybe she's getting attention that she doesn't like or isn't ready for. Does that mean she wants to chop off her titties and become a boy? No. But right now, you've got a lot of people pushing that. Hey, little girl, you don't like your titties anymore? That's okay. You can be a boy. And then transversely, I don't know a lot of boys as much as I've read a lot of articles, but personally in my own story, I know more girls who've been told that it's okay to do the other thing and not be a girl. Don't learn femininity. Don't learn how to be pretty in your pretty self. I know a lot of pretty studs, and that shit is amazing to me, because it's like, shit, maybe you didn't get somebody talking to you about self-care, versus just hide it, ignore it, put it away, don't accentuate it. I don't know, Marie. I don't know. You seem pretty girly, I know you wear your J's and your sweats sometimes, but you seem.
I mean, I was like, I've always been a tomboy. I climbed trees, played softball.
Oh, we can't both be tomboys, because then neither one of us has.
I feel like I lean more into. I think there's different times. Like, you go through different phases in life. Hell, there's times, I feel like even as women, sometimes you don't even feel as pretty some days. You're like, oh, sometimes you be kind of surprised, like, huh, that's me? I do. I think that it's like, it's all about how you're feeling or what you're channeling.
Sure.
I will say this, I've observed things with my daughters. Like, my daughters are very shapely. And I say that to say that one of them, she just quit wearing dresses and started wearing more oversized clothes just because of the attention she got at school, the unwanted attention. She also quit riding the school bus because of unwanted attention from boys. It was a series of things. So I think too, how people make you feel. Sometimes women and little girls they want to hide themselves, especially if they feel like they're being objectified. And
this is the daughter that's at the white school?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're targeting her. Ex-hubby, you're just gonna have to be, save your daddy to them. And then to your daughter, you can tell her, to tighten up. But, come to the rescue, because they targeting that baby. She
but this was before the white school. So so I think that women go through phases. I think that in general we experience different things. I think that even a lot of things can be subconscious, not necessarily conscious, that things that we're doing. I've read studies about women purposely gaining weight, but not purposely, but purposely. Like,
purposely, but it's accidental.
Attractive, doing things, but it's not necessarily, I guess it's not accidental, because it is something going on in their subconscious that's making them make those decisions.
And their mental. I would say it's subconscious, because it's that control thing. People don't consider that they are binge eaters because they are not bulimic or anorexic, right? They're not throwing up and they're not, overeating, but a lot of women overeat because we've got control over the food. And then, and not that men don't have that problem. I'm not a man. Again, fellas, if y'all are out there, TJ, you out there, I think you're a dude. Comment in the chat and let us know if we're off. But I think that the control aspect of the food, it's a slippery slope. So while you're feeling good, I got control over this, couple months of eating donuts at midnight, and you then packed on that freshman 20. You didn't get that because you didn't go to college right after high school, but there's this 20 pounds that, boom, you're gonna gain that shit straight up, because I don't know what they're putting in the food, but it's this thing. where you live on campus, you go to college, Marie, and then you gain 20 to 25 pounds just off rip. And it's only the girls. I don't know what that's about, but you bypassed all that shit. And well, now you've got a daughter who is doing what I did. I didn't want the attention from the boys for my boobies, but then, like you said, we have phases, right? Pretty phases, attention seeking phases, hiding phases. Go ahead.
It's funny because you made me think of something else. Oh, are we still talking about the book? We can take him down.
Oh yeah.
That conversation.
Let's focus on the lube. We're not no diddy.
What I will say, I think I was joking with a girlfriend, like, at a certain time in life, you were accentuating your breasts. And then now I'm at the point, like, I'm looking for things to minimize. It's like it's different levels in your life. You're like, no, give me the bra that does the least, secures the most, but just kind of keeps me compact. Okay. I'm not trying to do anything.
We're not pushing
anything. Yeah. I'm not trying to add anything. In fact, I would like for them to not be there. But then thinking of those years where it's like, I wish that, I could, you like
a little bit more.
Right bra, the bra that has like the little push thing. And now I'm like, I wish I would. Give me that, give me the unlined plain one, please. Thanks.
But that might be a comfort thing, right? Did you learn growing up that you have to deal with the pain? Beauty is pain, or pain is beauty. Some shit like that.
Oh no, luckily I was primarily raised by a man, so I was never taught that.
Oh,
in fact, sometimes it would be like, well, people only because you're pretty, so like don't think too much of your looks. Like that's the only reason why.
That's a hell of a lesson to learn.
So no, I didn't.
I'm your black daddy. There you go. Black dads matter, y'all. No, I learned about heels. Didn't like them. Purses. Still don't like them. Sleeping the right way because my hair is done and my neck having a crick in it. Didn't like that. But supposedly, as women, girls, we're supposed to deal with the pain because,
So I feel like there's luxury, or there's certain benefits, right? So, I've had a few of those updos in my life where you had to be like that or whatever, but I can honestly probably count on my fingers. You can always sleep how you want with a wrap. So baby, I think some guy one time was like, you get your hair done the same all the time. Boy, fuck you, because that's how I get my hair done. If you want somebody who does interesting shit, then you get somebody else. Won't be me. You know how comfortable I sleep with a wrap? I will say this, my girlfriends actually spend more time on me about certain things, like you're not wearing heels or this, or it's my girlfriends that are, it's not even men, it's women like this, or you don't go get waxing, this, that, like it's my girlfriend, like grow up, Marie. Or do not wear fucking.
You're not right. You got to grow up as a woman.
And do not wear sneakers to go to the place. And the funny part is I buy heels, but like I just really don't wear them. My favorite, like, please, like I think this weekend, like I put my Tory Burch sandals on. They're not cheap. They're not too expensive, but they're also not very cheap. Put them on. Like this is my casual whatever. Like I said, I'll wear them if I have to. It's just not. I do value comfort over beauty, probably. Just a little bit, like shit, because I'm like, I'm not gonna be sitting over here in pain or whatever. Like that's just never. And then I think that even sometimes too, even as an adult, like at 40, like sometimes too much attention can make you uncomfortable too. You're like, okay, like you look so nice. You're like, well, how the fuck did I look before? I mean, I thought I looked nice the other day. Now everybody, oh, you look so nice. Like, what are you saying? Like I just put a shirt on. And I think I wore some jeans. Like, I go for those, my wellness treatments, my long COVID treatments. And so I think I went to the doctor the other week and I had a pair of jeans on and a t-shirt where normally I'm wearing joggers. And she's like, oh, you look so nice. There's no t-shirt and jeans on. Like, is it that you always see me in loungewear? That was like, but it was like, oh, you look nice.
That's funny.
Like, yeah, okay. Like this ain't me.
Time today to look presentable. That's such a backhanded compliment. Also, I hate when someone tells me I look tired because
how did that cross my mind when you said that too? Because like, oh, you look tired. Oh, keep that shit to yourself, bitch.
keep that to yourself. Because I probably am. And damn, I got out of bed and I'm doing the things like anyway, self-care or selfishness. Just us. That's a Facebook person. Is it a woman or a man? Do you know?
No.
Well, just us, peace to you. And welcome to the conversation. I like what you said about you are what you eat. We've had that conversation a little bit. I don't think we've gone into it too deeply. The food, we've been doing a lot of political conversation and shit. The price of groceries. Maybe that's why I'm losing so much weight because, I'm not eating anything.
Wow.
It's too much. No, I'm just playing.
For the massacre of 180,000 Ghazians, you can have your groceries go down per Kamala, like, because you want cheap groceries too, right? Like, so, you have to, it's a barter system. So it's either the Palestinians or these cheap groceries. Now you decide. I'm like, I don't know. I'll pay a little more for the groceries. Or do you want your women's rights? I'm like, I'll just hold off on abortions right now. Don't even worry about it, baby. I'll get one later.
Yeah. Oh man. Whoa.
That
I saw this story. I saw this story about Crystal Candelario. Did you read about that or hear about that?
Yeah.
She's from Cleveland. She went on vacation, left her baby, 16-month-old baby home for 10 days when she went on vacation. And how I saw this story, it was retweeted with the caption, "If they ban abortions, expect more of this. If they ban abortions, expect more babies to be neglected and die."
Where's she from?
It's in Cleveland, Ohio. Let me see if I pull it up. Crystal Candelario.
So I have to ask that sort of thing because she lives in Ohio and abortion is accessible up to 22 weeks in pregnancy and gestation. So that's not a valid, that's not why. She's just a bad fucking person.
She vacationed in Puerto Rico and Detroit while her 16-month-old was alone in a playpen for 10 days. Sentenced to life in prison. I don't know if that's appropriate. I feel like if that baby died, then she should join the baby. But
that's dehydrated masculine. I don't know if it's emaciated.
Oh.
What they blame her actually?
The little baby persevered, waiting for someone to save her. So who saved the baby? Eating her own feces in an attempt to survive. Okay, so the baby saved her goddamn self.
Actually, it just ended up saying she died.
Hold up. Did the baby die? Look, CNN. All right. The toddler died. The baby died, you guys. And yeah.
But no, so that's not, but like I said, it's not valid. She lives in Ohio. If it was about an abortion, she's just a bad fucking person.
Bad person.
And I don't think you're a bad person to seek an abortion. I do think you're a bad person to leave a child. And everyone has their own different views on abortion or what's in a fetus, what's an embryo, what's a baby, what's not. You cannot freeze a baby.
It's just breathing. It's
freeze a baby, but you can absolutely freeze a fetus. That being said,
oh wait, what?
You can't freeze a baby, but you.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm there.
And to me, that's what I'm like. We're differentiating. They're not the same. One would be viable, one dies. And again, because I'm not against abortion. I am against people using that as a form of birth control. But I also am against, I'm against you having, people needing, I guess, like, what is that lady that had like those 7 kids or something? She did in vitro and she was like unemployed and
you
like
think Octomom?
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
because that
and that to me is unethical.
Yes, absolutely. Amen to that.
But
you can't afford to make them, and you done had them by yourself, and now we have to pay for your assistance. No, I'm sorry, y'all gonna have to be in the red. I feel like they do shit like that, these set asides for the non-spiced people, because they're in the global red
or something. I'm not even sure how it was how or why or so I think too that the catches when they do in vitro and different things like that, sometimes they'll use multiple with the notion that they won't necessarily
that it's not always going to be viable. Yeah,
a chance that they could actually even separate, and then you have, I think it's like the fetus is duplicated or something to that effect. Some sciencey shit went on in the placenta, and the 2 of them duplicated. So then she had 4 plus, I think, like 2 or 3 more. It was real wild.
The Octomom, it says that she had her octuplets and 6 older children via IVF. So now
that just, to me, that's just don't the funny part is they love to tell you you can't kind of get your tubes tied and all this other shit. No one thought like, well, you kind of got too many, a man may not want you. I don't know, since a man may want to have a baby with you, even though you don't want to. Man may want to use your body for a vessel for his seed. So that being said, you're too young to have your tubes tied. We can't allow, or let's ask your husband's permission.
Oh yeah, that absolutely happened to me. You got married young too. So that conversation happened for you too.
No, I was told that, what if I got married again, or if it didn't work out, that I needed to leave, not have my tubes tied, because my future husband, my next husband may want children, and I shouldn't do anything to squander that. That's also why
you gave them?
You said what?
That's what you told them?
Oh, that's what I was told.
Oh, well, I mean, that's not a bad argument, right?
You said what?
That's not a bad argument.
No, it's not. But then I was also told, but also too, don't have no more than 2 children, so that in the event that you got married again or somebody, like, there was all these rules about what would be acceptable by other men, which I was like, there's a lot of shit. I'm like, do somebody be talking to these men about this shit? I'm like, you got 2 kids, mothers, you got 3, you got 4, but did anyone come talk to you about that? Because people have definitely come and talked to me. I feel like it's such a thing of all the things that women are told. I don't know, like, if you see my post, I know you're not very active on social media, but it was like I was out this weekend and I was like on my phone. I really was. I took some pictures with my friends and I was like, oh, that's not, I'm editing my photo, looking at my little thing. And it's like, you need to get off your phone. So, like, I mean, how are men going to talk to you?
Oh.
Okay. I really ain't thinking about you niggas. But it was like, how am I going to talk to you? Then it's like, well, I mean, what about, like, you don't act like you don't need a man. Like, what about money? Or like, I have money.
Right.
He's like, no. I'm like, I make 6 figures. He says, do you know what 6 figures is? And then when I told him, he's like, oh, well, I mean, money don't matter. But it mattered just a minute ago when you thought I didn't have any.
Well, I have learned that that's well, we've had this conversation before. Some people are overextending their hand, right? You're not there to get with this man, but here he is telling you all types of options that you could have had if you had done these things or were like this. And I have found that that's cumbersome. But
I can see if you wanted them or something. Like, if I wanted you and I was pursuing you and you're like, hey, I need you,
right? Like, that's
you have the right to tell me what you need from me or what you need me to be or whatever it is or what you're looking for to see if that's like, am I going to be able to meet you? But you volunteering me shit that I don't give a fuck about. I don't know. I feel like it's infuriating. It's almost insulting. Like, you don't even, what makes you feel like you have a chance with me?
That's that self-care. See, some of y'all thought I was going to say selfish. No, sometimes we are presented with selfish people, I think. And then it's our opportunity to meet them with the same energy or show them something different, right? When I say show them something different, I mean that you're not saying yes just because, or you're not doing things that you don't want to do, or you are doing things because you're trying to do something new, stepping out there and doing something different. I think that the line comes in when you have support and you don't use it. So I would say, just with what we were talking about earlier, your ex-husband is super supportive. You daughters, I think that that's a hell of a situation, just from what I know. Now, there might be some shit that I don't know, right? But just from how you talk about him and how you talk about them and how you told me that you talked to them about him, it all seems very supportive. So, when he's like your baby and them, you might just need to, remember how your daddy was, right? I didn't have that. So I'm learning all of this firsthand from y'all and my man and how he treats our children and all of this stuff. But it's still support, because I think that she knows that she can call daddy, but it's got to be something super bad, because then he's going to come in with the guns blazing. Or is he not like that? Because I think that he's going to come in with the cape and just mow him down because she said so.
Here's the thing.
And then he's got 2 sheets. And then he's got you. That's 3 sheets. He's surrounded.
He's not gonna have to do shit because I'm gonna come right in. Here's the thing. So the funny part is when she was sending the message saying what's happened, she was she had us both in a group text. It was me and him and her. So he's quiet. Like I said, my ex-husband's very reserved. He's he also spent 20 years in the military. He's very, which I'm like, motherfucker, you didn't always follow the rules.
Yeah.
He's very, this is just cut and dry. In certain things too, he's experienced, but it's like for him, he's not, he ain't me. I'm gonna show my ass and I'm gonna go out guns blazing. I think there's a difference, with, whereas, it's different. Like the difference is that, I feel like his upbringing, he's not as, I don't want to say surface level, but I want to say that, even something, me and his mother talking about something, she's like, well, no, I don't care if that's a rule. That's a dumb rule. So for me, I have no problem with looking at something and saying, yeah, that I don't care if it's a rule or not. I think that's dumb. And this is why, and this is what should be happening. In fact, whereas it's like, these are the rules. He's very like cut and dry, very black and white. Well, this is the rule. This is the line. I'm like, that's a dumb line. Make that line make sense to me. So even too, I said to him, does it make sense to you that they would pull her out of the class just to see if she has a badge? And he's like, yeah, they're just checking.
Military man, though. And if you're supposed to have your badge.
Yeah, and that's all. And I think that's nitpicking. I think there's so many other things for children to worry about. And then two, here's the other thing. In growing up, how I grew up, and even knowing what I know, you don't now that ain't her case. So definitely not her case, but you don't know what kind of home these other kids are coming from that you're fucking with.
Sure.
You have
to the point, you don't know if it's their policy at this point, because this is the first time you're hearing about it. This is all brand new. So for it to be her first time.
Yeah, I felt like that was a bit much. Like, yeah,
a little much, right?
Like if she was a repeat offender, if she was me, like I'm definitely a repeat offender. Like, so I'm militant. I'm always going to push the line. I've always been like this. This isn't anything new. Unfortunately, so one thing, me and father do not really get along. We do not have the best relationship, but I'm gonna tell you what, my dad always taught me to question shit. Like if something doesn't make sense, ask the question. So I will say, like my father didn't believe in sir or ma'am. In fact, if you call him sir, you want to piss him off, call him sir. Now my dad only made it in the Navy 6 years. But he taught me to question things. Now I will say we don't get along too, because I be questioning his ass. That's part of why we don't get along. And I'm very, very direct. And to some degree, some would find that disrespectful. But unless it's a lie, I'm not wrong. You just didn't like it and made you feel uncomfortable. You didn't like that truth. But I'm not wrong because I didn't lie.
But do you think that we get with people that are like that? Or he got with you because you're like that? We've got a balancing act.
I think there is a balancing, because most men that I do deal with typically, so I'll be honest, with someone like me, it probably wouldn't last as long because that's just too much. Calm the fuck down. Like it almost, and I have dated like men that were like, okay, we can't listen to gospel, we can't watch TV, we can't do because the white man. Okay, I do understand the white man be doing things, right? And I do know that religion can be used as a tool. You know, like I'm fully aware, but like, damn, can we enjoy? So it's like there's like a in between. So I will say that I typically do like lean towards more mild mannered, straight laced men, because there is that balance there. So even to my daughter, like he's ignoring her whole conversation. Marie, don't contact that school. Then like, did you just say? I said what I said. I still might contact the school. I don't know.
And I think he probably knows that, right? So then I think that's what I'm talking about. The support, self-care is using your support system, right? So while he isn't a guns blazing daddy, he isn't going to call the school and say, yeah, she's tripping, or I get it, you know, I'll talk to her. You know, it's not any disorganized show of force. You know, some households you'll have parents who they're not together, and you have to tell the mom and you have to tell the dad because they're not gonna tell each other. And hopefully you are allowed to tell the mom and the dad, because sometimes there's paperwork and it's like, you can't tell the daddy shit. Yeah. You can't tell that mama nothing. And then now you in legal trouble because guardianship and all of that
stuff.
Yeah,
even like I want to say when I got my daughter set with psychiatrists, they damn near wanted my divorce decree to figure out. I'm like, look, you can just call them. We could all be on the phone. This ain't even that deep. Like, y'all wanted too much shit. I don't even know where I put it. We've been divorced that long. She damn near 18. Can we just get this going? And that's really unfortunate, because I will say this. No matter like what I may feel about my ex-husband, and I do think that inherently, like even in a situation like even with what occurred today, we're just fundamentally different people. And we see the world different based off our own experience and then based off the information that's been made available to us. That being said, you know, even for me, you know, I'm talking about implicit bias. He's talking about rules.
But both of those are less
2 years. I'm talking about discrimination.
Right? I mean, both of those are lessons that need to be learned, right?
And absolutely. And they all are fundamental, right? So for me, I'm like, I'm trying to be aware of this and not trying to over parent our kids. But then simultaneously, you know, I guess my thing is you need to see where I'm coming from, but I wish that like he's not as studious, you know what I mean? He's not reading the latest journal on this, or, you know, he's not seeing that. So even for me, I'm over here like there's multiple data and research and studies that back that children of, you know, African-American children, especially in PWIs, are treated more, you know, and he just like, look, it's a rule, Marie. I'm like, and I'm telling you, it's also discrimination.
It's both.
But what I can say here, though, is that we both have good intentions.
Yeah,
I know he means well, and so do I. We just,
and I think that's teaching your daughter self-care. At least to me, it's a full circle there. We haven't even talked about Law Roach. We might have to talk about that later. I got another video that I haven't seen. I don't know what the fuck it's about.
Like, if this one don't go well, you're not playing shit no more without screaming. Like, we're done.
No, we're done. Cut it. Okay, let's see. Hopefully it doesn't take long to get to the point.
When I was 19 years old, I was
Yeah,
abducted
you
and raped
can't
by
hear
a
it 'cause
mass
it's muted.
murderer,
Sorry, hold on.
one who's etched into the American consciousness. When I was 19 years old, I was abducted and raped by a mass murderer, one who's etched into the American consciousness. John Wayne Gacy. Yeah, that guy from Chicago who dressed as a clown and murdered 33 boys and young men and buried them under his house and garage, and who authorities believe killed even more. And yes, I was in that house alone. Well, not alone. He was there too. And here I am, 45 years later. I know, it's a lot. I recognize his personality. And I know that sounds crazy, but I dealt with, I knew he was crazy, and I knew that I couldn't fight him, and I knew that I couldn't anger him.
Not displaying.
And I just had to diffuse the situation, act like everything was okay all the time, because I grew up doing that. I did it my whole life. So I was in a situation that was similar to something. If I had fought him, I'd be dead. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
All right, I had to hear that part. I got it. Thank you, all the way free. You are unfired. I remember why you shared this. I don't know if you heard about this at all, right? And I hadn't heard about this. A lot of stories I get, and it's not because I found it, but I think that it's something that should be talked about. The man that we were just listening to, he basically survived this serial killer because he kind of played along. And I don't mean played along like he liked it, but
No, he's
played
going
along.
with it. Get along. That's why. Keep going. Sorry, because I'm gonna cut you off.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
There's so many instances where a rape victim may not look like a rape victim, but in order for them to save their fucking life, they laid there and accepted it instead of trying to fight someone that would have fucking murdered them. If someone's willing to take something from you like that, they don't mind taking anything from you. So that being said, after they raped you, they could have fucking killed you. So you just kind of lay there and just deal. And oftentimes people are like, well, why didn't you stop them? Why didn't you fight back? Like let me almost fuck you and have a gun to your head and you tell me what you're gonna do.
That part. And that's
sorry I had to say
absolutely
it.
No, I mean that is the conversation right there. We don't have to watch more as much as self-care or selfish. Women, we get told that we should fight back or don't fight back. You know, that whole entire argument is something that I've heard, and I know you've heard it in some form or fashion, but you never really hear it from men or from guys. It's not really a lot of guys who even say that something bad happened to them. So, when you have one that is open and honest, I find that that's probably a conversation that could be listened to and maybe learned from, but not saying that you need to be a person to lay down and take anything. But is self-care persevering, or is it going out with your dignity, right? You've got royal family members, if you look in antiquity, all the way free, I'm gonna fire you. Don't play in my chat. You've got going back into antiquity, if the castle gets overrun, then the children might get killed because they don't want anything bad to happen to the girls. They don't want any bad blood, or, we don't want our daughters to get raped, so I'm gonna just kill them. Really, really dark shit. But then you think about now and what people are dealing with in the guise of self-care or selfishness. And I find that in addition to all the sex that's thrown at us, it's a very rapey culture that we exist in right now. We would have to be comfortable talking about this stuff. Like, I know, shoulda, coulda, woulda, easier said than done. A lot of that stuff is going to happen, but it's not going to be comfortable, and it's not going to be something that people are going to want to think about. But to me, if you don't think about what if my house catches on fire, then you're not going to have an escape route. You are going to be looking stupid, when it could have been very easy, to just plan for something bad. Maybe not plan for it, or just be prepared for something bad. Right now, in this free body, free sex, own yourself, and don't let anybody tell you what you can do with yourself era that we live in. It seems very selfish. People are throwing themselves on me and shit on you and on y'all. And I don't know that that's self-care. I think that we probably need to privatize some things. That might be self-care. You know, do that hiding that I said earlier might not be positive for the little girl who's uncomfortable in her body, but maybe in order to preserve us, right? I think that's my ultimate thought tonight. Yeah.
I don't know. You made me think of something like, I hate that we hit this subject near the end. I don't know if you're privy to that over 130 Sudanese women committed a mass suicide to prevent themselves from being raped. It was been in the news past 3 days.
Okay.
So the thing about it is, with them being in turmoil the way that it is, if a man gets caught, he's murdered. But if a woman gets caught, she's raped. They're also dealing with an excessive amount of cases of women being pregnant after being raped because of this. It made me think about when you were saying, like, well, do you go with dignity? And the interesting part is, in some respects, like, I don't know, like, I definitely believe in dying for what you believe in. Absolutely. But I also believe in living for it too. It just depends on the scenario. You know what I mean? And when I say it depends on the scenario, like, I don't know if, like, you know, we even look at or we talk about things or what we would have done during this, or if we experienced this or that. I don't know. I don't necessarily know, like, if there would be value in certain things. Like, I don't know if there would be value in.
I wasn't cutting you off. I just wanted to make sure it was going to play. But I think that that's, first of all, no, I hadn't heard it. You're going to have to share the.
I was trying to make it not political
that
today.
I
was trying to make it not political today, but
no, I mean that's all fine and well. We're always probably
it's like it's not political, but then it is, right, because it's human rights, and then it's like the irony, like the ironic thing is that, you know, the other day I did some research on, like, the safest countries for women, and, like, America wasn't even listed as one. And we talk about how often, you know, oh, this country is surrendered and compared to these other places. And there's so many places where women and children are just literally brutalized on a regular basis. And even, you know, it doesn't even matter what their socioeconomic class is. There was a woman in India who was a doctor that was, like, beat and raped to death at the hospital she worked at.
Whoa. By a doctor, by
they said it's actually multiple men. And then the worst part, some of the footage was recorded and they were sending it around.
Whoa.
And it's like, in that, while I don't believe in imperialistic feminism, there is something in me that's like that, you know, that a woman, a child, has a right to self-determination, the right to persevere, the right to exist without harm, you know, but to see so much of that on a regular basis. And the thing is, it is on a regular basis. Just, it's so common too, especially in some of these other countries, it's not talked about as much, or it's like, oh, well, you know, well, it either wasn't you, or what did they do? Or, you know, even when we talk about, we're going back to the abortion thing, the idea that there's actually a real life case where, you know, there's a 10-year-old pregnant. And there was a real case where the 10-year-old was pregnant and they wanted to get an abortion, but they couldn't. I mean, there's so much shit going on. It's so despicable.
Yeah. But then we want to tell everybody how to live. This is just a snapshot from Ipsos, the how the U.S. compares with other countries from 2020. And it looks like we at the bottom for a lot of things, right? This is the little metrics down here, well above average in green, well below average in red. And y'all know how to read numbers the same way I do. Our economy, strong. You know, our GDP, we're still number one GDP overall. But then
I
with
mean, in
regards to the
comparison to,
bigger
I mean,
things,
number one, and in comparison to what? Like, what are we comparing to? Are we
right,
comparing
right.
to the people we owe a bunch of fucking money to? Or
That part, yes, it's definitely going to be with regards to people we
the
owe
trillion
money
we
to.
owe China, the 100 billion we owe Russia, our boogie, the boogie.
Right, absolutely. But back to what you were talking about in Sudan, I thought that's insane. I hope this is in English. If not, I hope we get some captions.
In a single village in a Jazeera state, central Sudan, more than 500 people have been killed. The RSF have lined up the men of the village and killed each one of them. Bodies are scattered on the street. The women of the village are now killing themselves. Up to 100. We've been hearing reports of 100 women committing suicide just so they could protect themselves from the RSF, sexual violence, and sexual terrorism. For an entire week, the RSF have been committing a lot of massacres and genocides all over a Jazeera state. They have lined up children and shot them at their heads. They have killed patients in hospitals. They have killed people with disabilities, actually slaughtered people with disabilities, all because an RSF commander has surrendered to the army. Central Sudan, Al Jazeera is bleeding. SOS.
And you know who's funding this, right?
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't. I'm gonna get cut.
No, I'm just gonna say the United Arab Emirates. But
Yeah.
I say another ally, like they're all in cahoots together.
Right.
That's why they're quiet about what's going on to those Palestinians or what's going on. Like you can tell who's in bed with who based off of who's advocating for or who's not.
Mhm.
Hasn't said a word, who has an abundance of wealth and have done nothing to stop any of the atrocities being carried out. So the United Arab Emirates is funding this.
To me, it's this is why history that I know everybody hates to talk about. We don't like dates. We don't like remembering shit. So, it's so bad. But then we'll never forget the Holocaust. We'll never forget this. We'll never forget that.
We'll only never forget there's some whites involved.
Well, right, because
they're not the perpetrator, they're the victim. Because even two people were saying that Ukraine was a genocide, and you actually look at the numbers. There's no way that would be considered a genocide.
It's definitely about who has the authority and ability to tell the story. Correct. I learned about the rape of Nanking. It's World War II when Japan went into China and murdered hundreds of thousands and raped thousands of women, just on some crazy barbaric type of, well, we're gonna mark our territory. And to me, when people don't know what happened in the past, you know, the new things that aren't really new, people are gonna be desensitized to it or overly stimulated by it and not able to do anything. You know, I don't want us to be people who, you know, oh, that's so bad. Send thoughts and prayers. Oh, that's so bad, but we can't do anything about it. You know, like earlier when we talked about people who could do something, but then choose not to because not their dishes, not their kitchen. You know, people just hands off about a lot of things when you could just speak up. You know, the fact that we're shadow banned in multiple different areas with our few little people who listen every week. Shout out to y'all. I think that
to me, I feel like that means we're onto something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that means we're onto something. We're doing something right. You know, the funny part is, you know how I'm like going to school with my family. So you should really be a history teacher. I'm like, yeah, that's a problem. They're poor. I can only be a history teacher if I was married. I'm like, if not,
no, you can't afford it.
So now, you know, but I explained to them that, you know, I am my goal, you know, even as a psychiatric nurse, is going to be to promote equity in the healthcare system and mental health. So I'm still going to be a part of change, and I can still history can be my side. It can be my side boo or my other, like my, because too, it's a love. It is a love.
Right.
Sociology, it's a love, right? So it's not even something where it's like I could still do that on the side. I could still continue reading and educating myself or minor in whatever. Like it's just something I enjoy doing. And then, but going back to, because then it also speaks to some degree, the thing about history is that our current state is a fruit of the past.
The past.
So that's why it's so dynamic or so critical, because they all correlate. Well, like, well, damn, well, how did we get here? Oh, because of this and this. Huh? Who knew? Or I wonder, was this an unintended consequence or was this an intended consequence?
These are questions, good questions, I think. Questions that people who don't like accountability or responsibility want to answer. And they don't really like when we have these questions because it sparks questions in you guys. I find that, these uncomfortable conversations when we're being the adults in the room, they start very benign. Self-care, selfishness. Are you spending too much time at the gym? But then it gets to, well, are our needs more important than the needs of the people around us? And then who is all around us? I think we should be considering our environment at all times. Not that you have to be, makeup and dolled up in all environments, but you shouldn't look like you just rolled out of bed unless you want to look like you just rolled out of bed.
Love a good homeless look.
It's about, what do you want, and are you comfortable enough to be honest? Because really, to me, a lot of y'all are not honest. You want to talk about shit that's not right, but then you don't want to do anything about it. To me, if you're going to talk about something that's not right, you have to be willing to do something about it. That's just the math, right?
I think people lack the, kind of like we said, weaker and wiser. So even people lack the willingness or the discipline or what can come. Oh, what if this happens? It just happens. Like it just happens. Like but then I'm like, if something happens to me in my quest or my journey of doing something right, it just happens. Like
life's right.
It just
maybe you go down in history as somebody who mattered because they gave a damn. And no, I don't think you should.
I have a great fucking story. So then she, and I have a great story about what happened. Like, so then
it's written on her tombstone. No, I'm just playing. But maybe,
the reincarnation. Don't worry, I'll be back, bitches.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. Raise hell.
Y'all, I know y'all love when we go around the world and back again with our conversation. We will continue to have split interests on this channel. We're probably going to make a channel dedicated to our geopolitical conversations because we don't want to lose the audience who wants to talk about this other stuff, parenting or food or, what happens when 100 women in Sudan kill themselves because they don't want to be murdered and raped, or it's the bear and the man conversation all over again.
In a different region.
I mean, it's different kinds of bears over there, probably. I don't know. But if you enjoyed our conversation, make sure you hit the likes. If you didn't, make sure you let us know in the comments. But next week, we'll be back. Don't know what type of conversation we'll have, but we know that it will move you. Hopefully it moves you to do something. You have any final thoughts?
I think I've shared enough with you guys. You might all feel like you said it all.
Said it all. Well, until next time, you guys, if you want, you can tune into the Donald. He's holding a rally in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Please don't tune into him. That I've never heard such disgusting, vile, racist things. I mean, I have, right? I really have, but then I haven't. Or I have, but I've never seen a nation or a big-ass crowd clapping.
That
and
they're very
Puerto Ricans and the things about 2-year-old Palestinians but believe me, if you killed my mother, my grandfather, everyone else, I too, but at 2 years old would be a terrorist. I would be radicalized at 2, maybe 1.
I mean,
or
that is the lay of the land. You got to be ready for whatever comes with the rhetoric that you're.
Did you see that CNN commentary where the guy
I did.
Where the
I gotta be honest, Marie, I thought the shit was hilarious.
No, did you see the one when he said he was pro-Palestinian and he was just like, "Well, I hope your pager doesn't blow up. I hope your pager blows up."
Yeah, I didn't hear that part. I heard.
Then he claimed he said, "I thought you said Hamas," and it's like he did not say. Like I went back listened to too. Like, nah, he did not say Hamas. He said he's pro-Palestinian. You said you hoped his pager blew up.
Yeah, some people are
pulled off the network 15 minutes later.
Y'all can't blame your racism on Trump. That's what I want y'all not to do. Stop doing that shit. You're racist.
You're racist because you're racist. And you can overlook racism because you can overlook racism.
Because you're racist or a coon. But we'll probably have to have that conversation next week. Y'all be good, be happy, be productive. And we'll see you next week. Good night.